Hello, Forge fans. Anthony Urciuoli with you. It is Focus on Forge making its return this week, and we're going to focus on rejuvenation, falling forward. It's a seasonal thing we're doing here. Summer, it's almost fall. Anyways, the point is, it wasn't the best summer for Forge. At least it didn't end that way. Forge heading home now on Saturday to take on their arch rivals from Calgary, Cavalry FC. The date of that match, September 10th, 5 o'clock start time. It's Greek night, and by the way, I've been reminding you, but it warrants a couple more reminders because it's that big of a deal. Forge FC and Bench Brewing teaming up for a incredible September special. $29.99 will get you a match ticket in the gold level, so you get great seats for $29.99, and you get a bench beer. You get a sampling of bench beer. So you get your beer, you get your ticket, and of course, right up until kickoff, beers are $5 anyway around Tim Hortons Field. So it's Greek night. It's a September special. So many reasons to get to Tim Hortons Field for this match on Saturday. And promotions aside, as great as they are, what a match and what an opportunity this is for Forge to get back on track. They've lost 4 of their last 5 matches. There's a draw mixed in there. So they've been winless now for it's been an extended period of time. But there's good news. When you look at the overall table, Forge FC now in 3rd place. Not where they wanted to be, but let's start at the top. Atletico Ottawa, 1st place, 40 points after 23 matches. Cavalry, also sitting on 23 matches. They're at 38 points, so 2 back of Ottawa. Forge is at 36. So they're 2 back of Cavalry, 4 back of Atletico, but they played 1 less match than both clubs. And Valor is in that 4th spot right now, thanks in large part to those back-to-back victories at home over Forge last week. Valor sitting on 36 points, tied with Forge. Valor, though, has played 1 extra match. Pacific, though, a point back of Valor. Remember, the top 4 get into the playoffs. So Pacific, a point out of a playoff spot, and they have a match in hand on Valor. But let's focus on Cavalry and Forge. Specifically, Forge, of course. This is an opportunity for Forge. Back home, new month, new season rolling in. It feels like a time for rejuvenation where you can hit the restart button, feel refreshed. Forge can get back out there and, almost, we don't want to say start the season fresh, but in a way, these last, we have 6 matches left here, 4 of them at home. This is a great opportunity. We've been talking about how 50 points is kind of that benchmark. 50 points will generally, just based on the history of this league, land you at the top of the table. What would Forge have to do to get to 50 points? Well, they need 14 more, and there's 6 matches left. Here's what I would say. If Forge can run the table at home, 4 matches, pick themselves up 4 wins. They are well on their way, in my opinion. Now, this is just, things could change. You never know who can get hot, who will cool down and whatnot, but I would say that if Forge can win 4 or 5 of their final 6 matches, let's say 4, I think they're in a pretty good spot to finish at the top of the table. But it starts this weekend, and it starts against Cavalry. Now, I had a chance to check out training this week down at Tim Hortons Field. I spoke to head coach and technical director Bobby Smyrniotis. I spoke to Tristan Borges, and I spoke to Sissoko. And there's a lot to talk about as part of this rejuvenation here for Forge FC, because a big part of that is Forge, they're getting healthier. And we could be very close to seeing a couple of giant returns for Forge FC that could, at least the presence of these players who have been missing now. And in one case, Daniel Tristan hasn't played at all this season. And Chris Nanko, I believe he's missed 19 matches this season. So, I mean, to get these 2 guys back and to really illustrate what they mean to this club, I talked to Bobby this week. Here is what Forge's head coach had to say about those 2 players who, by the way, are training at 100%, which is, it's the first time those 2 guys have been on the training field together at 100% in a while.
Yeah, I think at this moment everyone's out in full training, so everyone is feeling good. Everyone's gaining full fitness from the guys who haven't been in the lineup, so everyone's available for selection.
Fans who just haven't had a chance to see, Chris, for example, much this season, and maybe some new fans, what can they expect from a guy like Chris Nanko in the lineup?
Yeah, he's a player that brings a lot of energy to the team. He's an attacker with all the abilities to get forward. Good, exciting player who wants to do things at speed and on the dribble. Very good in the 1v1 situations. So, we look forward to kind of progressing him into the squad as the time comes, and along with some of the other players that maybe the fans haven't seen. It's an important time for us, and it's important to have everyone ready to go.
Yeah, and Daniel Kritzen's another player. What does he bring to a lineup?
Yeah, if you ask me, going into 3 years of the CPL, he's the best defender, all-around defender in the league. It's not easy to have a player who defends so well in all aspects of the game, but is also so good on the ball and gives an excellent presence. And we've been excellent on the ball. He just gives us another weapon coming out of the back to be able to play quicker, and a fantastic leader. So when you can get the guy who's been the best defender in the CPL back at this point in the stage, I think it's always a bonus.
All right, so as bleak as things may have looked days ago, at least following Forge's consecutive losses in Winnipeg, it's funny what a little time can do and a little perspective, and just it doesn't feel as bleak anymore. And just by the looks of it, and watching training, looking at the intensity. I mean, this club trains as hard as anyone you'll see, and it's not just training for this club. I mean, training sessions are equally, sometimes more intense than the actual matches, because this team expects excellence. They expect championship level play, and they have not been getting it. It's been very uncharacteristic. The goals this team was essentially scoring at will during a 6-game winning streak where they were averaging almost 3 goals per match. Since then, it's been a struggle. Forge have not found that offense. At least it's been on, let's say, hiatus for a little bit. During this 5-game stretch with Forge struggling, Forge have only scored 1-2 goals in their last 5 matches. 2 goals in their last 5. Their 5 matches prior to this winless skid, they scored 15 goals in 5 matches. 2 in 5 matches, 15 in 5 matches. So you can see how big of a dip this club has taken recently. And it's not a reflection of the quality. We know what the quality has gotten even better as they've added some players, Jordan Hamilton specifically, who I think is still trying to find his comfort zone. And also, the team's gotten healthier. It's as healthy as it's been in a really long time. So if it's not quality, and it's not tactics, and it just, there's something mentally happening here. Here is Tristan Borges talking about some of the struggles and now the opportunity at hand to right the ship at home.
Yeah. It's been a little tough stretch right now, but the only thing we can do is just put our heads down and just start working, right? And we've been doing that all season. Every team goes through it. Obviously, for us, it's very difficult knowing the standards that we have, but we just move on to the next game. It's an important week, and at least we get to play in front of our fans.
Is it good though that you are home now? Does it feel nice to be here and training on your own field?
Yeah, I think so, and I also think just being in a situation like this, I think trying to get a good result in front of the fans is a big uplifting thing for the team, and I think it's really, really important for us just to kind of lock in and have that mindset that it's going to be very important for us to get 3 points in front of our own fans.
Borges, by the way, saw himself in a different position last match against Valor, playing more of a central attacking role, kind of playing that 10 spot as an attacking midfielder, playing behind Pacius and Jordan Hamilton and whoever, they made some substitutions, but playing behind the striker there, where Borges has typically played on the wing. So here's Bobby talking about Borges and why he was moved to the middle and why that might be an even better opportunity for him to showcase some of his attacking talent.
Yeah, I think it always becomes with a player like Borges is trying to free him up in different spaces and different pockets of the field. So that's where we'll move him around from playing on the outside to the inside. As a player that can get in between the lines and explosive getting forward. And I think that's one of his best traits. But it always depends on the different looks that opponents give us in defending, which zones they give us, where you can get a player and you want to make sure that you're trying to get the best traits out of Borges, and that's what we've done in the last couple of games.
Well, at the top of the midfield there, you have Borges, and the guy that's just been box-to-box consistent this year and such a revelation of sorts for Forge FC, Abou Sissoko. So good, so versatile, so important to Forge FC. Here's Abou talking about what Forge has to do going forward. It's a one-game-at-a-time approach, and Forge believes that when they truly focus on the next match, every team says it, every player, in every sport, we focus on the next one, focus at the task at hand. It's easier said than done, especially when you're struggling. It's almost like that, in baseball, when you're down by 4 runs and you're out at the bat, you need base runners. You don't need home runs. You don't need single shot home runs. That's not going to get you back into the game. You need base runners. In Forge's case, it's broken down into smaller pieces. You need better ball movement. You need better possession. Bobby talks about throw-ins being the most important part of the game. And his point is, it's these small things. Forge, forget, one game at a time, sure, but one play at a time, one possession at a time, one kick at a time. Here is Abou Sissoko.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Every game now is going to be an opportunity to restart. So we're going to we're going to work hard every week to prepare the next game, upcoming games as a final. And then we're going to see what's going to happen. But we're fully confident. So everything's going to be good for the next game. So, yeah.
When Forge FC is playing at their best, they're playing at a high speed and they're playing clean. They're not in their heads. It's very reactionary. It's when you have the experience and the quality that Forge has, you don't need to overthink these things. These guys, they know how to play, and they know how to play in this system, Bobby Smyrniotis' system. And at the end of the day, it's just about playing. Stop thinking. Have fun. Again, I know, much easier said than done, but it feels very mental at this point, and the mistakes that we're seeing are very uncharacteristic of Forge FC. So heading into this match against Cavalry, and we will get more detail, by the way, I should actually mention. However, wherever you get your Forge content, whether it's via podcast, YouTube, social media, or at forgefc.ca, we have plenty more coming up ahead of this Cavalry match. We'll have a more in-depth match day preview. Charlie O'Connor-Clark from canpl.ca is going to join me, and we will break down in detail this match against Cavalry, and that'll also lead us into our 3 keys to the match. So we will get more into this match with Cavalry, but we need to take a step back a little bit here rather than going completely in depth. Because if this is an issue of just the team not just mentally maybe overthinking, in hockey they say gripping their sticks too tight. In football, it's gripping the ball too hard. In this case, it's a little heavy on the touch. And that's what it's looked like. Balls the control hasn't been there, the possession, the ball movement, the movement off the ball, the runs, players just having more difficulty than normal finding each other. And the game Forge wants to play is a possession game. And at halftime, in that last match against Valor, by halftime, Forge was trailing in possession. They never give up possession. They're never trailing in possession. They did ultimately finish with the better end of things at like 53%, but that's not Forge soccer, and we know that. And we're expecting something different this weekend against Cavalry. Remember, tickets available now. It's Greek night, and it is also the September special as Forge FC partnered with Bench Brewing. As I said, stay tuned. Plenty more Forge content coming. If you want the full interview with Bobby or with Borges, both of those are available at forgefc.ca. All right, Forge fans, we'll talk to you soon.
We are the Forge, the mighty, mighty Forge. You just don't think you understand.
Anthony Urciuoli and Focus on Forge. Subscribe on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts to the Forge Audio Network.